Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and today I wanted to show you some easy preps that you can keep with you on the go. So these would be perfect for the car, they would be perfect for a 72-hour emergency kit, which I have videos all on that linked in the description box down below if you want to check that out. They could be just easy for you to grab and go on a bicycle if you needed to, but these are preps that I have in my car at all times. So it looks similar to my 72-hour emergency kit, except for a few different things. I know a lot of you were wondering about how you could be prepared in the car. And of course, it's gonna look different for just about everyone. So I'm going to share with you what I have. And I'd love to hear some of the things that you keep on hand down below in the comments. If you are new here, hi, hello. My name is Tori. We make videos 3 to 4 times a week all about life here in Northern Colorado. We like to do things on a budget and we like to prepare for emergencies. So if you're into that kind of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of our YouTube family. Without further ado, let's see what's in the bag. Okay, first things first, the bag itself. I have a Fial Raven bag. I could be saying that wrong. We used to live in Boulder and there was a store there. I think it's amazing because I can bring this bag in anytime I want, and they can reinforce the waterproofing to this and take care of any issues I have with the bag. If a seam has ripped, if a buckle has broken, they fix it right there in the shop, which is really awesome. I believe they have a location in Denver as well. And if you go on their website, I'm pretty sure you can send them in to be fixed. So that is great. And I always keep this one on hand just because I feel like it's the most functional and it's a little stylish too. So if you're into that, then this is the bag for you. They are a little pricey, but it's definitely an investment because of the quality. So I'm just gonna pull stuff out of my bag here and show you what I use it for. I feel like it will catch me off guard and it's not so planned. So here we go. First things first, wipes. Every mom needs wipes, but wipes are good for just about everybody. You can use them to cleanse yourself. You can use them to help with wounds. I try and get the unscented kind, and I try and get the most natural possible. If they do dry out, you can just find some water and rehydrate them. So super easy, wipes, very important to have. Next on the list, this is not going to count for everyone, but it's going to be an activity. I haven't said yet why. Maybe your car breaks down. Perhaps you get stuck in a national park without any service after park hours. And that is what happened to us. That is what has led me to make this bag. So that happened to us in Rocky Mountain National Park about 5 years ago. We saw a moose, we decided to pull over, and then our car wouldn't start. This was at 8 p.m., so the park had closed. There was no one around, no one to be found, and it was just very tricky. I admittedly am not a mechanic, and my husband isn't either, so we weren't really sure what to do there. We kind of went into a panic mode. Luckily, we had a tent in the back of our car at the time, just because that's how we were living in Colorado at the time, just spontaneously camping whenever we could. So we were stranded for about 2 hours, and my husband was able to fix whatever was wrong with the car, and then we were able to go. But if he wasn't able to do that, we would have been stuck there without any food. We did have water and we did have shelter, of course, but that is what made me kind of stop and think and figure out what we could keep in a small area of the car that we could grab and go. So one of those items is going to be activities. Back then we were without children, but I know my kids and I know they would lose interest with a lot of things, especially if we were just on the side of the road. So I always have activities like this. Most of these things can be purchased at the Dollar Tree, $1.25 tree now, but puzzles, and my son really wants to play with this, so I'm gonna let him do that. But books are a good one. Those little coloring sheets from Target that are activated by a special marker, you can find them. Those are going up in price though, so I would go ahead and snag them now. It depends what your kids are into. We don't really do electronics, but if they're into electronics, find, I don't know, some sort of battery source. I probably wouldn't waste it on an iPad or anything like that, but to each their own. My kids love puzzles, but they're at that age, so that's a good one. And then on the subject of kids, I always have diapers. My son doesn't really need them, but for my daughter, I use disposable diapers when we're out and about. Typically, we are trying to use cloth as much as possible. So next thing, we have toiletries. Honestly, you never know what will happen. I just have a shampoo and I have some coconut oil body lotion. Not necessary, but they don't take up much space. And if we're gone for a few days, it might feel just a little bit better if you refresh yourself. I know camping, my husband and I could go a few days without taking a shower, but with all of us now, why not? Why not? If you have the resources to do so, just bring these along with you. And I like the coconut oil body lotion because I can leave these in the car in the winter and they won't freeze or anything. They'll just get hard. And then you can warm them back up with your hands. So that's just a personal choice from me. Next up is going to be Advil. I keep these little packets on hand. We're not really into pharmaceutical medications, but in a pinch, if we were not feeling the best, I think these are great to have on hand. So children's Advil as well as adults. Whatever sickness that you might see coming to your family, try and get those. I don't keep any liquid forms in my car. I don't know what will happen if it were to freeze or if it were to get too hot. So you never know. That really just depends on you. I know my mom used to keep a lot of our kids' medications in her purse, and that's easy to grab and go when you're leaving the home. But I'm talking about something that I'm keeping in my car. So those liquid medications I'm not typically keeping in the car. Next up are going to be glow sticks. These are fun for the kids, but they're great in the event that you're stranded in the dark. So I like to keep these on hand and put one on each extremity of the kids just so I know where they are. And then if I have enough, I throw some on my husband and myself just so we can see each other. I think that's really important. Next up is from For Patriots. It's one of their all-in-one devices. It's a flashlight. It is solar charged, so I try and keep this charged as much as I possibly can. Has a compass on this end. It does have a window breaker over here, a seatbelt ripper right here, and then it also can be charged with USB. So that's really handy just to have on hand. This is actually kept up with me next to my seat, just in case of an accident. You never know what could happen if you get underwater. Hi, bud. So you could get underwater and you might need to break the glass or break your seatbelt. So these are great to have on hand, and you can find all those links down below in the description box. Next up, another product from For Patriots is going to be one of their power cells. So this is solar powered and USB, just in case you have to charge a phone or any certain devices that you may need. But I always have a couple of these on hand. They are really helpful. Again, all those links are in the description box. Next up are going to be flashlights. These are from the Dollar Tree and they don't come with batteries included, but if you have a Harbor Freight near you, they have some lights with batteries included. So these are nice to have. Just make sure you have batteries in them. It's just like a one-upper of the glow sticks. You never know when you're going to need some light, and they're really helpful, especially when you're trying to start a fire and you don't have any light, which has happened to us before. We successfully started one, but light is just helpful to have, and they're very compact and they don't take up a lot of space. So that's a good one. And then on the subject of fire, you might need some matches. I would suggest waterproof matches and not these. I have that in my other bag in the car, but I just pulled out this bag. We do have 2 bags in each car because there's 4 of us. So it's just helpful to have that on hand. But waterproof matches are really nice to have if you have flint and steel. That's helpful. Really, any way that you can start a fire is a great tool to have in your little bag, because again, it doesn't take up space and you can cook with a fire, keep yourself warm. You can do a lot with heat, so I suggest doing that. Next up, just a regular pocket knife. These can come in many forms. Of course, if you carry, that's awesome, but you don't feel comfortable carrying, that's cool too. I just suggest maybe having a knife or some sort of personal defense. You could have a taser, you could have some sort of spray. When we're talking about sprays, that's not just for humans. If you can get your hands on some bear spray or something like that, but I have heard that really just agitates them. So you never know. It really just depends on what area in the world that you're in. We are in northern Colorado and we venture to the mountains quite a bit. So really, again, whatever you're comfortable with. I have this. And then personally, we like to carry, but that's not something that we're going to be leaving in the car. Of course, you need to figure out your safety regulations when it comes to carrying firearms and things like that. Again, things that you're comfortable with. Next up is going to be a thermometer. I just have these on hand just in case. Typically, I can tell when my kids are under the weather or we are, but it is nice to keep an eye on where we are in our temperatures, just so we can get ahead of the sickness and beat it before it gets worse. Next up is going to be a first aid kit. So this has alcohol wipes in it. It has some gauze and some Band-Aids. I found this at Dollar Tree, but you can find a larger pack at Walmart for $3 and it comes with a little bit more. We have both, but these are at Dollar Tree if you're looking for something a little bit less inexpensive for $1.25. Next up is the subject of hydration. I always get that. Do you keep water in the car? Typically when we leave the house, we have a bottle of water for each of us, and we keep them in hydro flasks just because it gets so dry in Colorado. We never really carried water with us until we moved out here, and hydration is key. So in the event that you cannot keep large amounts of water in your car, which I don't suggest doing because of the constant temperature changes, I suggest carrying a life straw. So this is a water filtration system. There's so many different companies that carry these. I found mine at Sam's Club and they were really inexpensive. There was a 2-pack for under $20, I believe. So these are awesome. You can drink right from the stream if you need to. You could also find some sort of water filtration pill and you could put that in a bottle of water. There are a lot of open streams here in Colorado, rivers, creeks, things like that. But there are also places where you can get water from a natural spring. It just really depends where you are in Colorado. So if we are gonna make that trip into the mountains, we'll be lucky enough to find natural springs, but I also know that's not gonna be available to everybody. And then on the subject of hydration, typically we are trying to use natural hydration. In my prepper pantry, I'm keeping coconut water as a natural source of electrolytes. A lot of people keep Gatorade or something like that, but you could also find something like Liquid IV. I am an affiliate for them, so you can find that link in the description box, but we're not taking this every single day. So this would be really perfect to put in your water just to keep your electrolytes high and your energy working in the event of an emergency. So Liquid IV, that's my little plug there. There are so many different kinds of companies that carry this item, so you can do your research into it and figure out which one works for you. Next on the list here is going to be extra clothes for everyone. I just have a set for everyone. You never know what's going to happen. So we have sweatshirts in there, and then we also have Patagonias and materials like that that fold down and kind of fold into themselves. It doesn't have to be a Patagonia. We just happen to find a really good price on that. You could even find them at Walmart, something that can withstand a lot of cold and keep you warm. And I suggest getting one for every member of the family. And then moving on to sources of heat when it comes to that kind of thing, we do have a separate bag in our car, and in that bag has sleeping bags, one tent, and it also has our camp stove. So if you have room in your car for that, I feel like everybody you could just put that under a seat. Find some sort of sleeping bag that is very compactable. My husband used to snowboard a lot, and when he would go on hut trips, which is when you hike to a hut and snowboard down, if you're unfamiliar with that, he used to bring that gear up with him because they are typically staying in a yurt or a cabin, and there wasn't a lot of space to haul all of your gear on the way up the mountain. So I suggest finding one of those. I can link them in my Amazon storefront just so you can know what companies that we like and what companies we've tried out. And then super glue, we like to keep these on hand for just about anything. It really is a multi-tool in my opinion. You could use this to seal up a wound. It's just a little hack that we learned from family. So super glue is always just nice to have on hand. And then on the subject of wound healing, I've talked about it in my medicinal videos before, but I like to take my homegrown yarrow and grind it down and then keep it in little capsules or little pill bottles that I can bring with me. And that is our blood stopper in case we are trying to clot a wound. Yarrow is really great for that if you didn't know. And then we're gonna kind of jump back to personal defense. And if you're a female like me and don't like to carry big bulky things, or maybe you don't really want a hot pink knife here, I did find a few things on Amazon and different sites around that you can wear. So there's wearable bracelets, wearable necklaces, and they fold out into different multi-tools. So you could fold this into a whistle or a knife. There's a glass breaker one, a seatbelt ripper, and there are some pretty stylish ones on the market. I've also seen some really heavy set beads that looks like a rosary that you could wrap around and use as self-defense if you want to, if you wanted something that you could wear. I don't really like giving away all of my secrets, but you can wear something that is concealed that looks stylish that you could use in the event of emergency that you would have to self-defend. And then lastly on the list is food. Now, I keep these in separate bags. I have 4 of these, and this is enough food for the 4 of us for 3 days. So very similar to my emergency kits, but I have different things in here, different ways to cook. I have shelf-stable items, and I go through these just about once every year and replenish them with different items. I find most of my items at the Dollar Tree, but you can find different foods for your family. This one is something that I'm not keeping in my car. If I'm going out to Target for the day, I'm not gonna grab those and keep them in my car. But if we are planning on going into the mountains for the day or maybe on a hike, I am always keeping that food easy to grab and go. So I keep it in its own little bag, and then I go ahead and put it in my car if we're doing things like that. And then on that subject, back to water, if we are going on a hike into the mountains or something like that, maybe to a national park, or even just going to Estes Park, say, for the day just to hang out, I am trying to keep some gallons of water with us as well, just because you never know. Traveling with toddlers is no joke sometimes, and you really just have to think outside of the box to be prepared. I will say I have not always been this way. My mom taught me to be pretty prepared, as well as my dad, but I always used to think it was so silly that she would carry things with her, and I now feel really silly for feeling like that, because I have saved the family a few times now when it comes to different emergency issues that we've encountered out there in the wild. So I did want to share this with you. I know it was requested, but I had to work on it and try and organize my favorites when it came to this list. And again, they're always going to vary, so let me know what you like to keep with you in the car, a bag that's mobile that you keep with you, really anything of that nature. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it gave you some insight on ways that you can prepare on a budget and save your family in a pinch. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everyone.